Welcome to The Real Deal with Sean Matthews, where we have real conversations with real people, entrepreneurs, and business owners alike. Today, I have a guest on here that we just met a couple days ago, and we really connected straight away in different avenues, what we do for a living, our spirit, and maybe a few other things that you might understand as soon as we start talking. I'm going to introduce her. Her name is Karen. Give me 1 minute. Karen Chaston, co-founder of the Chaston Centre, a place for meaningful living. Firstly, they assist individuals to create a better everyday life after any kind of loss. Secondly, they assist businesses to ensure that their people, productivity, and profits are thriving. She is an entrepreneur. She is an international speaker, international best-selling author, and former CFO of a publicly listed company. Now, I've just met you, Karen. Welcome to the show. I can't wait to hear and listen to what you your gift is today.
Thank you, Sean, and nice to be here.
Oh, it's fantastic to have you on. Now, we just connected, as I said, a couple days ago, so we got to know each other a little bit. But what I introduced all of the guests with is, how did you, who are you, Karen, and how did you get started in the Chaston Centre?
Okay, well, it's been a journey, as most of us have been on. It's funny, isn't it, that when you look back at the little thread of the stepping stones of what brought you to here, I guess it really did start back in, well, obviously started a lot earlier, but it started back in July 2011, when my 27-year-old son had gone out the night before, and we thought that, you know, he was a healthy 27-year-old son, but my husband and I woke up that Sunday morning and thought that he had just passed out at our back door. But within minutes, we had the paramedics sort of there. And, you know, within seconds, they just said those words that no parent ever wants to hear after like checking him out for literally a second. They just said, "I'm sorry, madam, he's dead," and had been for several hours. And yeah, it was the last thing you wanted to, you know, on any day, let alone we didn't really know what had happened. So at the time, I was living in Narrabeen in Sydney, and he was living downstairs with his girlfriend under our house. And as I said, we thought he was healthy, but, you know, we found out at the autopsy the next day that his lungs were so bad that if he had smoked full on for 10, 12 years, he couldn't have done a quarter of the damage. He was 27. You know, he's a twin. He has an older brother and an older sister. But at that time, I was a CFO of a publicly listed company, and, you know, I literally returned to work the day after his funeral. Because isn't that what we're all told to do? You keep busy, give it time, everything will be all right. Yeah. And, you know, as you know, Sean, no, everything's not going, you're never going to go back to the person who you were before, no matter what loss event you have. And, you know, since then, you know, my research and all that sort of stuff that I assist people with, there are over 40 different loss events. So they're all there designed as little pivotal moments to assist you to become who you're meant to become. But it took me a while. I literally went straight back to work, eating more, drinking more, working even harder, which was ridiculous. And I now know that Dan's passing was meant to have been my wake-up call. But as it didn't happen, and I just tried to carry on with life, the universe had to send me another loss event. And that came in the form of the company I was working with was merging with another. And during that process, they said to me, "Karen, you're not going to be CFO in the new company, but we really want you to come with us. We want you to be doing everything you're doing now, plus more. And we just love you." And I just went, "Yeah, sure. You know, what's the title?" Until they gave me my contract. And my contract was for 2/3 of what my current salary was. And it really made me angry for probably about 48 hours. And then I slowly started to what I like to refer to as I came out of my Groundhog Day days, where you just sort of every day is the same and you're just in the motions and you're just sort of on remote.
I've been there.
Sort of. Yeah. And it's not good, is it?
No.
You don't even realize you're doing it
until
you come out of it, and then you look back and you go, wow, that was sort of like a 10-year phase where I just was doing all of this sort of stuff. So, and it was, as I said, I was angry for 48 hours, but I very quickly started to realize, holy hell, I'm only here for the money. And if I'm honest, I'm wasting most of it just to get through the day, just to cope with the stress of it all. And I really quickly going, what are you doing? At that stage, I was 54. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, sure, you're going to probably live to 80, but you still got another 30 years to go. Are you really happy with what you're doing with your life? So I chose redundancy, and that's when I knew straight away that I wasn't going to be doing accounting work anymore. Sure, I'd do it every now and then, but it wasn't going to be my main focus. So yeah.
Wow, that's a lot to take in. And I heard a little bit of your story when we first met, and it's amazing. I think that a lot of people could relate, and how tragic that is to lose a son at 27. That's so young.
Yeah.
So young, and what you had to go through with coping with all that. And a lot of people do go through the stages of eating a lot, not exercising, just letting everything go, and working yourself to the bone. And I can relate to that for sure. I've done that, working to the bone, 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day with no breaks. So I am again sorry for your loss, because it's I couldn't even imagine that.
Thank you.
Different.
But
you know quite what? Different, isn't it? Yeah.
It is quite different. And thank you for saying that. But the funny thing is, Dan is with me. I actually say I spend more time with him than I do with his siblings who are in this realm. Yeah. And it's quite funny. We have a completely different relationship. Like, you know how every family seems to have the clown. Well, the clown was Dan. We have so many family photos where he's pulling a face, or he's sticking his fingers up, or whatever he's doing, sort of thing, which is really frustrating when you're going, can't I get a nice photo of you? Thank God he had traveled before he passed, because his girlfriend had a lot of really cool photos. So that was, something we could bring together. But the thing is that so often people see death as a finality, in regards to, sure, the physical is gone, but the emotional and the spiritual live on forever. And the more that you start to see those signs and really look for them, the more signs they give you. And it's truly amazing. Like, he has shown up in so many family photos. Like, he's shown up at his brother's wedding, his twin brother's wedding. His older brother is getting married later this year. He was meant to get married in 2020, but he's getting married in July this year. So we're really looking forward to, Dan showing up, and he's shown up at friends' photos. He's very, very creative in the way that he does it. And it's amazing. He's even shown up at his memorial. Like, we released his ashes at 5 years. We hired a boat in Sydney Harbour, and we released him into the harbour. And his face came back in a wave, which is amazing.
Wow, that's amazing.
I know. And it's, and it's so cool. And they're so creative. It's like, I got the power. I'm going to show you how I can use it. It's really cool.
So in the photos, what sort of creativity did he use?
My girlfriend just took the photo of us throwing the ashes in, right? And the wave went off, and it came back, and it literally is his face. You can see his eyes, you can see the whole face in the wave. It's incredible. And I've got it, actually. The photo is in the book. my latest book, Demystifying Loss. I've got 3 photos of Dan showing up on 3 different occasions. So one of them at his brother's wedding, one of them at a family friend's wedding, who we grew up on 5 acres on the Gold Coast, or the boys grew up on 5 acres on the Gold Coast. And, you know, a family who lived a couple of houses away, which is like 10 acres away. Sort of thing. They, I know it sounds funny. They literally, at his wedding in Townsville, he's on the tree above my husband's head, his dad's head. And it's just so amazing. It's so clear.
Wow. That's fantastic. So you have those in, what was the book that you have it in?
Oh, this is my latest one, my Demystifying
Your
Loss.
latest one. Oh, yes, that one. Oh, wow. Fantastic. And you've written a few other books too.
Yeah. So I started my, it's really quite funny. I started my writing journey a couple of years after I left corporate. So I left corporate in late 12, early 13. And then I wrote my first book in 2014. I actually wrote 2 books in 2014. The first one was called The Journey to Becoming Your Own Best Friend, which I feel is a journey. I feel that's our life journey. Yeah. We come into this world perfect, and then through the growing up process, or through comments, or through whatever happens in our life, we sort of tend to lose a little bit of ourselves. And I really do feel our life is in a journey back to us, to love who we are. Not from an ego perspective, but to truly love who we are. So that was that book. Then and then a month later, it was really funny. When I was writing that book, I can remember hopping out of bed one day and just screaming up at Dan, going, "Just leave me alone. I'll write your book second. I just want to write this one first." And so I did write his book, which was called Beyond a Mother's Worst Nightmare. Yeah. Which was at that stage. So that was only like a 3-year journey since his passing. So what I did, how I healed myself, and, all these things, and the amazing people that came into my life to help me to start that, journey to becoming your own best friend, which I feel it's only a start, because the more we unravel, as you're aware, the more and more.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot more. A lot more to come, for sure.
Exactly. But you have so many amazing people come into your life to, have you looked at this modality? Have you done this? Have you done this process? There's so many things. You got to love the world we live in now, that there is so many things to assist you on that journey. And then I wrote The Teenagers Playing Grown-Ups. So when I was 16, I adopted my daughter out, and typical Catholic school, or Catholic girl. I wasn't, of my friends, there were 2 others that were pregnant at the same time. One chose to get married, one chose an abortion, and then I chose to adopt my daughter out. And this book, I ended up bringing another girl in, who chose to be a single mother. And it was the story. So in the book, there are 4 separate stories of, which option do you choose, sort of thing, for your unplanned pregnancy. So that's a really good book. One day, I keep saying one day, I'm going to have to do it soon. I want to make it into a 4-week mini series. Because it's a really good journey, but I will bring them back to being girlfriends and their journey together and stuff like that. So so that's that. And then I did Live Love by Design, which is really the updated version of the journey to becoming your own best friend. And then my latest one is this one. I've done gratitude journals. I found that my gratitude practice really started not long after Dan passed. And I found that doing my daily gratitude was great. But I found that the gratitude journals were so pretty on the outside and nothing on the inside. So I created what I call the Elements Collection gratitude journals, which are pretty on the inside as well. So they have like a photo that I took the photo of. They have a gratitude saying, they have a shark or a color day, and then where they write on the right-hand side. So, and it's, obviously they're called the Elements Collection because they're water, air, fire, and earth. So
Oh, that's fantastic. So before.
So I've been busy.
Yeah, you've been very busy, very busy. And Dan's obviously in his other world, keeping you very busy. And
I credit him with everything. So
Have you ever thought before you even started your journey? Were you quite spiritual before that, or you just weren't quite there yet?
Yeah, I was there, but I wasn't there. So obviously being an accountant, I have that analytical side of me, but I also, being brought up Catholic, I always thought, there's something there, but it's just the man-made version of what spirituality just didn't sit right with me. It's probably the best way to describe it. Yeah. So I always sort of was interested in spirituality. And the funny thing is, you know, when I went to America, I knew of my redundancy, but I also knew I had to do I had 6 months notice, that the contract, we both had to give 6 months notice. So I had to work through that 6 months. So I went to America. I became part of this group called Braveheart Women, which really helped me to come back to me, to really awaken from my Groundhog Day days and start to see the value of me. Which was an amazing processes. But we went there, my girlfriend and I went, and it was like a 4-day event in LA. And one of them there, the lady on the first night, it was like a big what's the word? It's not conference isn't the right word, but big, you know, a whole lot of stalls. There was a whole lot of stuff. It was amazing, a marketplace. But for the event. And one of the ladies there, I had a reading with her, and she was the one that said to me, she just knew straight away that she said, oh my God, like Dan was straight there. She knew straight away. And it wasn't long, it was only a couple of years after Dan had passed. Well, not even that. It was, probably about 16, 17 months since he'd passed. So he was, you know, full on, he was there. And she said to me then, she said, you're going to join a spiritualist church. And I said, I don't think so. I said, I don't think so. But I didn't know what a spiritualist church was. I thought it was something like, you know, an organized religion type thing. Whereas it's not. It's actually where mediums come together and they give you spiritual readings in a church type setting. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
right. And she was so spot on. Like within 6 months, I met a lady who introduced me to one, and I thought, oh well, I'll go along. I'm not really sure, but yeah, I love it.
Wow.
So it's just interesting.
Fantastic. I'll let you have your glass of water there. Yeah.
Been talking too much.
Oh, no, that's okay. No, it's very interesting. And what happens when a person passes over is so interesting when you say what your life was like before and what your life is like after, and who actually comes in. Have you noticed, and I've had this experience, and I wanted to see if you've had that experience, is that the people that were in your life before Dan passed are not really in your life anymore, or you've met different people besides your family?
I don't know what's going on here. Wait on, let me just.
That's okay.
Yes. Some people have dropped away. But it was more because I've become so different. But a lot more spiritual people have come into my life. One thing I didn't tell you, that 10 years before Dan passed, I'm from a large family, and my sister, who's 2 years older than me, she introduced me to a book called Life on the Other Side by Sylvia Browne.
Yeah.
And in that book, it tells you about how we plan our life, how we come down, live our life, and what happens when we go back. And I read that book in 2001, and I loved the book. And when Dan passed so quickly, a lot of people weren't coping with, you know, he hadn't been sick, you know, we thought he was healthy, all that sort of stuff. And I guess sickness gives you a time to bring everything together. So I bought that book and I gave it to a lot of people, and it was really comforting because it gave you a bit of an in, oh, right, this is what's happening to him now on the other side, all these sort of things. So it's actually a really good book. Sylvia Browne's passed now, but it's such a good book.
Oh, fantastic.
So yeah, so I've always dabbled in it, but not been as into it as what I am now.
Yeah, right. And so when you say, you know, the gratitude book that you have, that you've
journals,
that you've made up, before Dan's passing, before you had experiences, all this, did you ever write a journal? Did you ever say out loud, I'm grateful for?
Oh, every now and then, but no, not as consciously as what happened after. And I had a mentor, and he actually suggested it. He said, why don't you write in a gratitude journal? And I said, oh, I've never really thought about it. So yeah, no. And it was such a great practice. It was not only the fact of like waking up in the morning and then doing it. And the idea is you just don't write the same thing every day. You just, come up with 3 to 5 different things out, which I'm sure you're aware of. But it's then coming up and then feeling into it. But more importantly, I think it assists you to get more in tune to your intuition.
Yes. I actually really agree with you. I do a gratitude journal every single day, and I didn't do it 10 years ago. I have to say that 10 years ago, I wasn't that spiritual at all. My sister and my mother were way more spiritual than me. And I completely understand with the loss of my mother, it came about that you look at things differently. And that's your next step, would you say, in that spiritual journey?
Yes. And I think it's the step. It's really funny, especially the older you get. Like we all, we're spiritual beings having an earthly experience. But for a long time, we think we're earthly people. We don't even really connect our spiritual sides. And a lot of the time, like we knock it and we go, well, who'd want to be, a part of all of that? But yes, I think the older you get and the more practice you get, you more begin to realize, well, yeah, we are spiritual beings. But I also think the more that you develop that, you're not scared of death. So that you have an easier transition when it's your time to move on to your next adventure. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the Bhutanese people. So Bhutan is a little country between India and Tibet. It's around there, right? Between India, China, and Tibet. There's a little country called Bhutan, Bhutan. And what the Bhutanese people do from a very young age is they start to meditate on their death. Now, it sounds a bit morbid for us in the West, but because they're meditating on their death, they are classed as the happiest people in the world because they've got their death covered, so they know how they're going to pass, so they can live because they're not worried about their death. Whereas I think sometimes because we, the thought of dying stops us from probably living a real life, but it's a really beautiful practice. Not that I'm suggesting that, start meditating on your death, but then maybe why not? Like I've planned my funeral.
Oh, have you already? Wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, some different cultures do different things like that, and it works for them. And meditating, I mean, I meditate as well every day, but I didn't always do that. I haven't meditated my death, and that has never been in my realm. But no. I mean, obviously you have done that because you've done so much work on that grief and loss and death side.
Yeah. And I'm going in my sleep. I'm going when I'm in my 90s, in my sleep with ease. But my funeral, I've already, so what I want is Another One Bites the Dust is going to be the theme song.
Fantastic.
Exactly.
I'm going to keep this recording forever.
Yes. Yeah. And I can and every year on my birthday, for the past 5 years, at least 5 or 6 years, I dance. I feel myself dancing to Another One Bites the Dust. And it's just going to be a compilations of all of those videos, and everyone's going to be told, stop crying, get up and dance. So yes.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, that's interesting. Very interesting, actually.
But it's got to be fun. Like funerals, what's the first 3 letters of funerals?
Yep, fun.
And we don't make them fun.
No. Yes. Oh, I totally agree with you there. Because we had a celebration of life for my mom's, well, not a funeral, we had a celebration of life. And it's actually interesting how you said that it's FUN as the first 3 letters, because she didn't want a funeral. She wanted us to go and dance and say, I've had my life, just party on now. But a lot of people are not like that, I guess. So
I guess a lot of people fixated on themselves because it is sad. Like it's really sad when people leave. But the other person who's left, like they're on to their next adventure and they're doing their life review and they're growing and they're, you know, meeting up with all of their past loved ones. So it is sad, but it's like, well, no, that's what, you know, a finite life is all about. We will move on and we will come back and we will do different things, possibly.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing to connect with you on this level too, Karen. It's fantastic. So can you tell us a little bit more about your business and how you help men and women with the losses and the grief? And
so I've created my online programs, which I can deliver either online or face-to-face, but obviously over the last couple of years, they've been mainly delivered online. And what it is, it's a 5-step process, which I have called the gift of loss. And it doesn't matter what sort of loss has occurred in your life, this process works exactly the same. So if it's a death of a loved one, a divorce, you know, your job loss, your health, your wealth, or any of the losses that have come to the forefront over the past few years, and the first step is the whole step is completely reverse of what I did. Right? Obviously, I did it the hard way. So the first step is to stop. Right? You got to stop. You've got to stop and you've got to figure out, you know, what does it mean for you now? Like, and what does it mean for you moving forward? Because just trying to continue with life the way it is never, ever going to be, you're just causing yourself more and more pain and more grief. So the first step is to stop. The second one is to accept, right? And, you know, people who knows the 5 stages of grief, accept is the 5th stage, and it takes a while to get to there. But accept is all about the fact of the things that have or haven't happened, accept it. Things that were beyond your control. You know, for example, I have to accept, or I don't have to, but I chose to accept that the last thing that I said to Dan in this room was, will you move your car? I'm in a hurry, right? Now, if I had known that was the last time I was going to see him alive, would I have said that? No. And have I said other things to Dan since he's moved on? Of course. But so many people get caught in these little things that they find it really hard to accept. So the accept is to figure out, you know, what it is and to take responsibility and all those sort of things. The third step is to identify. Now, this is where we really do the deep dive, and this takes most of the time. So you've got to identify the hopes, dreams, and aspirations that you had for this relationship. You know, identify the ones that could actually still come to fruition slightly differently, and the ones which never will. You're also going to identify, so in every relationship, there's 2 people, okay? And every relationship is unique. And what it is you're going to identify the things that you want to apologize for. You're going to identify the things that you want to forgive. And identify the things that you wanted to acknowledge, because those are the 3 things. And so often people are in the blame game. They can't take that responsibility. And there's 2 people. So there's always going to be those 3 things for every person when you're honest with yourself. And it's so easy. So often, I'm sure you've heard it all the time, you know, people who divorce, it's all their fault. I was perfect. It's all their fault. And you're like, no.
Yeah, there's a lot of blame game in relationships.
Yep. And blame is a funny word. So since I've been on this journey, I have started to break down words. Our language tells us how to live our life. You know, and one of them is lessons. I love lessons. As soon as you start to look for the lessons in your life, it's less on you.
Oh, I love that. That's a great play on word.
Yeah, and you're going to like this one even better. So blame, right?
Yeah.
So how can you break down blame? Like seriously, it's so easy. Well, there's the blah, 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 and then there's me. And as long as you're in the blah, 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 you are not taking any responsibility for me. So that's why we get out of the blah and into the me. right? You're not going to be extra hard on yourself. Just be honest. Just be totally honest. Sure, they did this, right? But why did they do that? What was it that something that I did or said or didn't do and say that made them be like that? You know what I mean? So yeah, so that's that. Then the fourth step is the complete. So that's when you bring it all together and you bring it into a beautiful letter that you never ever read to that person, but you read it to someone. Just acknowledging the relationship, acknowledging what you want to apologize for, what you want to forgive and what you want to acknowledge, and then ending it, right? Now, that assists you to deep dive into all of the emotions that are going through your body and to find an end for that emotion, so that it can be an emotion, energy, emotion. I'm talking too much. So yeah,
have a drink of water. Yeah, that's fantastic. Lots of value there. Lots of value, Karen.
Thank you. And the fifth step's the pivot. Obviously.
And fifth step's the pivot. Okay, fantastic.
Yeah. So that's the 5-step process, which I love to do. And the other programs is into corporate. Obviously, with my CFO background, people and profits are so connected. So it is about bringing in and helping the managers to understand who their people are so that they can rock up each and every day ready to work and make a difference.
Amazing. Yes. And I think a lot of people need that in the corporate world. Everyone needs it now more than ever before. I think a lot of people are quite nervous, or I've known from my line of work and my clients as well, that people find it hard to actually dig deep into themselves, to bring all that acceptance out. And, they need that coach, or they need that spiritual guidance. What would you call yourself, Karen?
I call myself a beyond loss expert.
Yes.
But I am a life coach. That's what, I've been trained to be a life coach. And I do, and it's funny, isn't it, that so often you've got to look at death in order to live. You've got to be able to face it and to realize, I think the fact that we know that it will happen, like none of us have an expiry date on our birth certificate, but we all know that the date has been set. We're hoping it's in the future, but it really does help you to really live and love your life. And it doesn't matter how much money you use. I can remember when Steve Jobs was passing, he was like, if I could if I could pay someone to take this illness, I would be paying them. And of course he would be. Same similar thing happened with Kerry Packer. But the thing is, it doesn't really matter what you've accumulated in this life. We are all going to go on, and we all are equal. And it is about coming to a phase in your life where you can actually look yourself in the mirror and go, how can I leave this place better than what I found it? And that's what I found with my, the gift of loss process is I did it the hard way. And in my corporate life, I was always like, got to find a better way, got to find a better way, got to find a quicker way. And that's just literally what I brought in when I was bringing my program and creating that, with obviously from the guidance from the other side. And, it's so easy for everyone to go, I did this. And you're going, yeah, whatever. But you did it with the help of so many people in this realm and in the other realms as well.
Oh, I totally agree with that. It's amazing. And it's amazing you do one-on-one support and you do online support. So you do groups as well?
Yes. And I'm actually in the process of, it's very early stages of bringing something together. It is going to be a group sort of thing, but it's also going to be, I don't know, differently. I'm just in the early stages of bringing it together. I just feel that the world that we live in now, when you can do things online and, like it's like we're talking together. Sure, we can't have a cuddle at the end or heart-to-heart cuddle at the end, but we are so connected and time is so precious and so valuable that I just feel that when we can connect like this, we are connected like this. We don't have to drive for a half an hour there and a half an hour back and all those sort of things. Or we can meet anywhere in the world. Sure, we're both in Queensland, but, so often they could be anywhere.
Definitely. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Karen, so much value and so many things to pick your brain about, actually.
We're so connected. We
We are
really
so
are. We do similar
connected, and I
things.
think we need to keep being connected and learn from each other and maybe do some things
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
But
I'm open to all possibilities.
oh, fantastic. That's so good to hear. And but I'd like to know, I mean, I'm going to write in the show notes where people can find your details. So you have a website, correct?
Yep, the chastoncenter.com,
Yep.
which I can see on my sign behind me. So you
Yes.
can go there, or my email address is karen@karenchaston.com.au.
Okay, I'll put that in there.
Sort of thing. You can see my journey with all
Yeah.
these different sort of connections. So yeah, so you always reach out. When you go to the Chaston Centre, you'll also see a bookshelf which has all of my books on, where you can get them either directly from me or Amazon, Kindle, all those sort of great places which are there. So yeah.
Oh, fantastic. You know, that's brilliant. I think I'm going to buy one of your books. Your newest one, actually. It's going to be fantastic. I can't wait to read it.
Yeah, I'd love your feedback on it.
Oh, yes,
for
sure. I will.
Yeah.
I'll read it. I'll find it and purchase it.
Oh, how about we catch up for coffee and I'll gift you one.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, well, let's do that in Queensland, where we can go.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, well, I think that's all we have time for today, Karen. And I'd love to chat to you longer, but I think that we'll probably chat again soon. So thank you for all your value and sharing your knowledge and your stories with us. I'm sure somebody's out there just going, wow, and can relate to everything that you've said. So thanks again. And this is The Real Deal with Sean Matthews, where we have real conversations with real people, entrepreneurs, and business owners alike. Till the next time, bye for now.